Folks on Beat, the video series where I spent about 20 or so minutes playing and talking about a game that I've got some thoughts on that I've been playing, and this is Test Drive 6. You know what I just realized? I forgot to enable perspective correction in the emulation settings. And you know what? I'm going to leave it at that. So, what kind of game is this? Well, it's a racing game. I fucking love racing games. It's what most of my channel consists of because I really enjoy racing games. It's like my definitive genre or something. It's because I really like them for some reason. This game has, well, it's noteworthy for having 20 billion camera angle. Okay, actually, no. Test Drive 4, I think, had like 1 million camera angles, and I have no idea why. Actually, what makes this game stand out is, well, for one, it's absolutely just complete whack job physics and handling. It's fucking hilarious. And also the fact that it has this betting system. So for every race, you bet a certain amount of money. And obviously if you come in first place, you get, I think you get all of the money that the other opponents would have had to bet as well. If you lose, I think you only lose that amount. I'm not exactly sure how it works because I typically win very easily because this game does something that actually Need for Speed Most Wanted 2012 does as well. And no, Need for Speed fanboys, it's not because they both suck. No. Well, one, I like both actually quite a bit. This is obviously Most Wanted 2012 is the better game, but anyway, point is, this game lets you turn the traffic off in the menu, and that's like my favorite fucking thing. I mean, for this track, it doesn't really matter because it's a racetrack, there wouldn't be traffic anyway. But in the regular race courses, where like, you know, where you're on the road in a city, in a place where you typically would have traffic, nope. There's nothing, and that makes me so happy because, I don't know, how it fucking pops up out of nowhere, because it's a PS1 racing game, and I know there's also a Dreamcast version, and there's also the PC version. The Dreamcast version looks really nice, and the PC version, I imagine, is like the best. It should be the best, even though, actually, there were the weird exceptions from back then when the Dreamcast version would actually be better than the PC version sometimes, because reasons. But honestly, I find that the PS1 version is like the most polished and stable. Like, some car models are just totally fucked on the other version, so I thought, screw it, might as well. Plus, objectively, I'm pretty sure this is the version that most people would have played because the PS1 was the best selling of the game systems at that time. And regardless of that, it's actually not too bad for a late PS1 racing game. It does not even come close to some of the polish of other racing games of the time, like stuff like Gran Turismo, but you know what? The game runs fairly quickly. That's one. It doesn't look too hot, but you can still tell what things are, and the draw distance isn't the worst, especially on the environment itself, which is what's most important, obviously, because yes, as I said, the traffic can pop in, but I've disabled the traffic, and I'm cool with that. You can also disable the cops if you want to, but I've actually kept the cops on just to add a little bit more spice to some of the events. No, don't get this wrong, though. This is not like Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2 cops, or it's not even close. They just kind of sit there and exist and make noises sometimes, but hey, you know, at least they're there, I guess. I think what I like about this game, there they are, yeah, it's like, okay, it's cops, bye, you know, it doesn't really do much. I do like the handling in a weird way, because it's very light, it has nothing to do with reality, but it's that kind of fantastical quality that I enjoy, but it still feels a bit like a car. Unlike, like, for example, Ridge Racer. I can't stand the way Ridge Racer plays, because it has nothing to do with any of how you would understand a car working. You have to fucking flip it sideways and like balance it or some shit on like an invisible rail, and it's just the dumbest thing, and it feels like it's being pulled by a string. Here, the cars are really light and they turn really hard, but they still kind of turn in a way that makes sense to how you would turn a car. And so I think the handling works quite well, and it's just hilarious sometimes when your opponents start ramming into you and you ram into them and you send them flying, like all the cars are so light. Or maybe it just feels like it because I'm currently driving a pickup truck, which is significantly heavier, I imagine, if they take that into account. Yeah, look, there's a freaking Dodge, what's that? I think it's a Dodge Challenger. Oh, no, he spun out. I do like how the AI makes mistakes. And this was around the era when, like, racing game AI would just be a little bit too perfect. And so you would almost be impossible for you to even compete on any of the harder difficulties. I'm actually playing this on normal difficulty, though. I didn't change the difficulty because oh my god. See, that's really funny. And it's not even that much of a penalty. Like, it's kind of a slap on the wrist, because you can see now I'm just going to keep driving forward. And did I mention how weird it is that that the music is not on right now? Because this game's soundtrack is fucking stupid. It's got like this ridiculous interpretation of Cars by Gary Newman, but it's by Fear Factory. And even the band themselves kind of isn't happy about the fact that it was like the thing that made them kind of popular, you know? Like, they want it to be the heavy, cool metal band, and they actually are a cool heavy metal band, but it's like, well, they're not really heavy metal necessarily, they're like industrial, but they also have the occasional kind of, they're like kind of, if Meshuggah were more listenable, I don't know. I don't really listen to a lot of Meshuggah, but anyway, boom. That's that's done. That's the race, and as you can see, that loading screen with the freaking rotating disc, I find that weird because like it actually renders at a higher resolution when I render at a higher resolution, which implies that it's actually polygonal. Regardless, so as you see, I got way more than I actually bet, meaning that yes, I think the betting system works kind of like how I think it does, although considering that it wasn't quite as much as you would think it would be for the amount of opponents in the race, maybe that means that you, if I even saved properly, that they take away, you don't lose all of what you bet, but you lose a percentage of it depending on your position. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't experimented with it. You know what I really like about this game, though? Like, unironically like about it a lot? The fact that the upgrades are right here. You don't have to go into a separate menu. You just go into upgrades and bada boom, you can upgrade your car right here and there. I'm not going to upgrade it too much. I've only upgraded the tires and suspension. They're maxed out because I want to make the handling as tight as it possibly can be. And at this point, like, car speed isn't that much of a factor. It's like, I would rather have a well-handling car before I go into the really fast cars. You know what I mean? But regardless of that, what else is... I have a really bad habit of saying, but regardless of that. Well, it's not in regardless. I think it's a very genuine... I think it's a legitimate form of praise to say that a game's menus are intuitive. They're ugly as shit. This game, as I said, it's not all that pretty. It's not like the worst looking game ever, but, and again, I commend it for running relatively smooth, I think. I mean, right now, as you can see, it's not running the best, although I just realized something. Didn't I disable traffic? Oh, no, wait. I realize how this works. Okay. So, it's one of those games where you can change those kind of settings, but they only affect quick races. I'm sure that's how it works, because I disabled traffic in the options menu, but clearly there's still traffic. Yeah, I know what that means. That means that the championship mode has its own settings that are completely unchangeable. Fuck! You know, I gotta admit, though, it is pretty exhilarating to be avoiding traffic like this. And there's this flexibility and flow. I don't know if flow is the right word, but this bouncy quality that makes this game a little bit more fun, for lack of a better word. Just more childlike, I guess, than something like Need for Speed High Stakes. See, Need for Speed High Stakes is objectively the better game. It looks better, sounds better, plays better, everything. But I find myself having a bit more fun with this game because it's just so ridiculous and it doesn't quite punish you as much. See, High Stakes is brutal. That game is car damage. You know, you take too much damage, your car's fucked, basically. And the cars are heavy, and you have to pretty much memorize the tracks if you want to hope to be able to avoid anything in time because of how long it takes for cars to turn properly in that game. I understand that's what they were going for, but it makes the game very unwelcoming to go back to. I do go back to it quite a bit, and I do retract a lot of the statements that I made in that really old Need for Speed video I did where I said that I really didn't like it at all. No, I do like it, and I see its merits, but this is actually more just kind of, I don't know, intrinsically enjoyable, if that makes sense. Like, I don't have to understand whether or not it's good or bad. I can just go, yep, this is fun. I'm driving car around, and it's cool. I can crash into stuff, but it's not too big of a deal. There's no car damage. Like, I like my games to be a little more on the grounded side, but it depends on how grounded they are and in what ways. Rather, for example, I greatly prefer this over a Ridge Racer, for example. Even though both are almost the same in terms of how nonsensical they are, how just stupid, just the amount of stupid shit that happens. But as you can see so far, I haven't even crashed into all that many cars. I'm just kind of driving forward and, oh, shit, okay. that wasn't that big of a collision though. And the game definitely goes easy on you, despite the betting system that you think would be a little bit of a hurdle for early on in the game to just sort of go, okay, I know you haven't even touched a car in this game yet, but bet a bunch of your money on this. And, you know, I did a playthrough of this game a while ago where I just kind of cheated a bunch. I would use save states so that I could just bet the highest amount, and then if I wasn't doing so well, I would just restart. This time, you know, I'm playing it without save states, obviously, and I would just, I mean, even though I'm sure that with the way the game saves normally, you could just, let's say, just turn the system off, then go back, but it would just take a little bit longer. But regardless, you definitely want to bet the minimum bet, because it's still enough to get you by, right? I think you do get genuine cash bonuses after completing tournaments as well, outside of just the bets themselves. They're just a neat little addition, and I think it definitely helps the game be a little more than just a standard arcade racing affair. Even though it is fairly fun, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with a game being a little more run-of-the-mill, because if it does it well enough. Now, is this game an above-average run-of-the-mill game? No. It's definitely perfectly average in a lot of ways. But I don't know, it's just, I want to keep going back to the wacky handling and the track design. I actually really love the track designs, though. That's honest praise. It's not even just the whole lol, it's ain't that funny. It's, no, I honestly do really, hold on, do I have enough? Oh, just barely, damn it. I'll be able to upgrade my engine fully next time. As you can see, the minimum bet is raising. I do like that, the way the game's difficulty progressively increases. What the hell is that thing? It's like, Mom, can we have a Ferrari F40? No, we have the Ferrari F40 at home. I think that's a Lotus. I'm not sure. Something I do actually have to give this game credit for as well is the variety of cars and the cars you don't typically see. Like a lot of makes I don't see in a lot of other racing games. Obviously it has like its Mustangs and like it's more typical cars that you would see in a lot of more popular racing games. Like banana, go on, eat one today. God, imagine being the guy who makes those fake ads for video games. That must be the best job. It's just like, all right, what kind of dumb bullshit could I come up with today? I don't know. But regardless, ow. See, look at that. The traffic just doesn't slow you down that much at all, which I guess makes sense for the kind of car I'm currently driving, but still. And I do like the fact that when you go in to buy cars, it's like an actual garage screen. It's very, well, fittingly enough, it's kind of Test Drive Unlimited-esque, which makes sense. Although this actually wasn't made by the same people. It may be part of the same series, but funnily enough, this was made by Pitbull, right? But the Test Drive games of future were made by Eden Games, or Eden Studios, who were the guys who were at this point in time, when this game released, they were doing V-Rally, right? And funnily enough, now V-Rally is being handled by a different studio, and is there even going to be another V-Rally? It's been like, what? How many years has it been since the last V-Rally? 7, I think? The last V-Rally was V-Rally 4 in 2018, so it's been some time since the last V-Rally game. I don't know why. It's still on Steam, so it's not like they've pulled it or anything. They're still supporting the series, it's just that, I don't know. But regardless, though, what's up with Test Drive Solar Crown, by the way? Like, are people actually looking for, is it out yet? Or is it already, it's the kind of game that, like, I swear to God, I've seen, like, videos of it slowly coming out, but is it actually fully out at this point? I have no idea. I think it is, or at least there's like it's early access or something. I have no idea, honestly. I'm not interested in it at all. The last Test Drive game I played was Unlimited 2, but after playing Unlimited 1, I actually think I agree with a lot of people, it's better. The car handling is better. The game is, what is it about Test Drive Unlimited 1 that I like so much more compared to Test Drive Unlimited 2? I think it's just the smaller scale of it that makes it feel less daunting, and the much lesser, in fact, basically non-existent emphasis on the stupid characters. Because, yeah, Test Drive Unlimited 2 had all these dumbass cutscenes, and it's like, I don't mind that necessarily. I mean, I'm a Need for Speed fan, after all, so it's like, I'm obviously gonna like the concept of cutscenes in a little bit of narrative in my racing game, but I don't really care for it in Test Drive. You know, I just want to buy cool cars and drive around a big open map, and, you know, even though, well, admittedly, the way that the original game was structured, I didn't really mind the fact that it was open world, even though I generally prefer closed tracks. Also, can the cops even bust you? I don't remember. I think they can. But I think it's it's a system similar to Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2 on PS2, where it's like free strikes and you're out, which is actually how Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 1 did it. You know, the one on the PS1 and PC in 1998, right? The original. Because every time you say Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, it's like, oh, damn it. Which one are we talking about here? The original. So regardless of that, I think I just finished first. Well, we're going to find out how the bet system works now. How much money will I lose? If I lose any at all. Let's find out. Because I bet $1,000. What's going to happen now? When I got third place, let's see, top speed, blah, blah. You placed third, prize money to, okay. Aha, so I still got a portion of what I bet back, but ultimately I just lost money because I didn't get first place. Aha. So that's how it works now. Now we know how it works, and honestly, I don't know what to do with this information other than the fact that, well, it's not as punishing. I assumed that you would lose just everything if you didn't get first place. That's kind of my assumption. It was like, oh, fuck, I'm gonna lose a whole grand, you know? But no, I only lost $750, true. But hey, well, I'll win this time, damn it. I do love these loading screens. They're very Need for Speed 2-esque in a way, where they show like the location you're going to be driving in, they show a little car. I think that's kind of neat. I miss loading screens from this time. You know, games nowadays try to avoid loading screens as much as possible. I think they were pretty charming and cheesy in a good way. But yeah, as you can see, the towns, they're fairly detailed. I think that this game, like, as I said, it's ugly, but it's not necessarily bad looking on the whole. The car models are just all kinds of fucked up, but I don't know, they probably couldn't scan them with actual lasers, like, because cars these days are not modeled by hand. Think you're crazy? That kind of detail? No, they scan them. They bring the actual car in, well, assuming it's a real car that exists in real life, that is, and they bring it in and they scan it, right? That's why those games are so expensive to make, because they gotta convince the manufacturers to send over the car. It doesn't have to be a working car necessarily, I imagine, but maybe they just send the chassis or all the individual parts and then they put them together. Wouldn't that be funny? It's like, guys, we just received a front bumper from Ferrari. I mean, you know what? If they're all the same scale and proportion, theoretically you could just scan them individually and put them in the game anyway. Maybe they actually do that. Maybe they have to do it that way in order to make them... Well, actually, the newer Forza games don't really have extensive damage. Like, you can't knock off entire sections of a car because that... What are you fucking crazy? You think the manufacturers are gonna let you do that? That's never gonna happen. But regardless, I don't know, this track is kind of cool, I guess. It's, I'm completely run out of things to say at this point. This is why, as I said, back when I used to do Let's Plays, I would never Let's Play a racing game, because it's like, look at this, I'm barely holding on to a 20-minute video, let alone fucking several parts, right, of a series. But no, other than that, though, the environments are not too bad looking. The texture quality is fine. For PS1, I don't know if I should expect any better. I mean, it's a PS1 game. On one hand, it can store decently sized textures because it's got discs. On the other hand, though, you know, VRAM is a thing, and you can't store massive textures in memory. But I think it looks fine, especially now when I'm emulating it and upscaling it. But even at native res, I think it's held up generally well. I think that the fluidity of the gameplay is what definitely has allowed it to hold up, because there's a lot of racing games from this time which are let down not by their graphics or even their controls or anything, but just by the performance, you know? That's what I think most games need to focus on, good performance. That's what makes a game timeless from a technical standpoint, not resolution. Because you can always up the resolution, no problem. But if the frame rate, if the game is like tied to a particular frame rate in terms of like its game logic and stuff, which you generally shouldn't do, but if it happens, if the developers make a mistake and that happens, it's like, well, shit, you're going to be playing the game at fucking double speed. You know what I mean? There's no other option. Regardless, I'm just rambling at this point. I really need to expand my vocabulary outside of regardless and other words. This time I got first place. What do we get? We get, oh, I get more than the grand. I get a grand plus a percentage of what the other opponents bet as well. So now we're back up to where we were initially. Okay then. Now I have a much better understanding of the game's betting system. But yeah, okay. This has been Focus on B, the video series where I would spend about 20 or so minutes, and in fact, that's exactly what I just did. Talking about and playing a game that I've been thinking about, that I've been playing for quite some time, and this has been Test Drive 6. I think this game is a lot more fun than it really should be able to be. It's the kind of proof where even if the game kind of sucks, it's still a fun game if it's fun to play. You know, it's got really exciting moment-to-moment gameplay. And I think this game is enjoyable, so I gotta give it credit for that. So this has been Test Drive 6, PS1, Dreamcast, PC, I think fucking Game Boy Color as well, 1999.